Coming up, the latest on water issues that some have dealt with for 2 weeks in Perry County.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Water issues have been a theme across the mountains since that Arctic blast before Christmas, but few have felt the pain as much as Little Leatherwood in southern Perry County. Folks there were without water for more than 2 weeks. WYMT's Keaton Hall looked into why that is.
Leatherwood Elementary was forced to close on Monday as the area suffers with continuing water outages.
My mom is 80, lives right down here below me, and she was climbing over a hill to fill a 5-gallon bucket up to flush a commode and fell. Thankfully didn't get hurt, but she could have.
Susie Wooten and her community of Little Leatherwood finally got water back on Monday after 15 days. Wooten says it's a yearly issue, but this time was the worst.
It's tough when you get older and you got to come home and you got to carry water and you got to heat water and you got to deal with it. I have to go to a family's house and take a shower and go to family's house and do laundry, and it's frustrating.
All of Perry County is served by the City of Hazard water system, so getting water to places like Leatherwood can be challenging.
It's the same plant that they had, when it was built, that was designed just to do the City of Hazard, and now we're feeding the whole county.
A new water plant is planned for Buckhorn, which could alleviate some of the strain on the system.
If you could take off the whole north end of the county, which would be fed by the Buckhorn plant, then that cuts down on stretching our plant out that far.
But Wooten is worried her area is being left behind.
Southern Perry County seems to be left out a lot. Road conditions, I'm sure you noticed on the way up, our road conditions, we're the last. Water, we're the last.
With tanks filling up, Eversole sees water being back to all of Leatherwood by Monday night or Tuesday. In Leatherwood, Keaton Hall, WYMT Mountain News.
Governor Beshear announced $9 million in funding for the Buckhorn water plant in September, but construction on it has yet to begin. Well, we continue to see clouds clear through the evening hours, and I think we'll see a little bit more in the way of those clouds diminishing overnight. I'll look outside right now at the downtown square in Somerset. It's all quiet and it's chilly. 30 degrees now after they got up into the mid-40s today. Many of us have already dipped into the upper 20s, even some lower 20s in some spots. Clintwood's at 24, Jonesville's at 25, so some cold air continues, and I think that's where we'll be throughout the night because you see some more clouds scooting in from the southwest to the northeast. So I think we'll be partly cloudy overnight. Many of us already down into the low 30s and even upper 20s should stay there, maybe rise a touch overnight as we watch those clouds act as a blanket during the overnight hours. Details on when we return perhaps some showers to the region. That's in a few minutes. Steve? All right, Evan, thank you. Business owners in the region are cheering on each other as they work to reopen after the flood in July. The Isom Community Pharmacy has been open since a month after the flood, but pharmacist Scott Burris says the other businesses bring in more consumers for everyone and help the community overall.
Obviously, I hope we get back better than we were, but we are just super excited for the other businesses around us to get open, the IGA, the bank.
And the Isom IGA is scheduled to reopen in the spring. A group of young kids from Leslie County had the chance for some hands-on learning in fire safety this morning. Head Start students from Mountain View Elementary stopped by Thousand Sticks Volunteer Fire Department in Leslie County. They learned why they should call 911 during an emergency and how to stop, drop, and roll.
We show them what we look like in our plain clothes, and we show what our gear looks like. We have bunker pants, jackets, helmets, and stuff. We're not a scarecrow. As the old saying goes, scarecrows are scary.
The fire station has hosted these classes for more than 20 years. One Pike County floral shop is sending something special this Valentine's Day. Reed Family Floral is working with area assisted living facilities to give the community the chance to adopt a Valentine.
by buying an arrangement to send their way. The project started last year with almost 100 seniors, and that number has more than tripled this year.
After we done Parkview last year, I still hear from the nurses over there about how much their residents loved it and wanting to know if I would do it again this year.
The project has expanded to include seniors in the Phelps area. Around 90 residents are still up for adoption. Aiming to serve those who serve their communities, 6 churches from the Corbin area came together to feed those on the front lines. Local law enforcement officials were able to stop by the Corbin Center earlier today to relax and enjoy a hot meal. The churches involved in this event hosted something similar for hospital staff back in 2021, and volunteers say they would love to give back to other professions in the future.
We don't want to stop here. We want to continue to do different things, again, just to love people in the community who don't always feel loved. I know we've already started talking about a way to give back to teachers who have been a very impacted people, especially since COVID happened, and there's always negative news about them, but we love them and we know if they're on the front line.
17th Street Christian Church pastor Mike Hopkins adds that in a world that can be so divided, it feels good to create a sense of unity with the other churches to give back. New tonight, an update involving some victims of Eric C. Kahn. Attorney Ned Pillersdorf says an agreement with the Social Security Administration will allow the majority of the 500 former Kahn clients who lost benefits 6 years ago to have their benefits reinstated. That is, if they request new hearings. If they win in their new hearings, they may get 6 years worth of back pay, which will collectively total tens of millions of dollars. Kahn was convicted of a $550 million Social Security scheme back in 2018. He was sentenced to nearly 3 decades in prison. Police in Southern Kentucky say they have located a driver accused of pretending to be them. A Rockcastle County man says he was in Laurel County Sunday when another driver pulled him over. He had blue lights as if he was a real police officer. That fake officer has now been located, and deputies say the real police will always have legitimate credentials with them that you can ask for.
Which is really unusual because most of the time it's done as a prank or there's some type of criminal intention. And so far at this point, we really don't know what his motive is. Then you can ask them for identification. We all are required to carry a badge and a written identification as to who we are. So it's very appropriate if you want to ask for identification.
Again, deputies say they did locate the suspect and his vehicle, but have not released his name at this point. They say impersonating a police officer is a Class D felony. A person in Harlan County may have tried to pick up a student in a U-Haul truck this morning. Deputies received a call that a driver in a large U-Haul truck tried to pick up the student at a bus stop in the Dayhoyt community. Officials found the truck and started an investigation, but are still looking for the driver. People are encouraged to be aware of their surroundings and make sure children know not to get into cars with strangers. Anyone with information is asked to call the Sheriff's Department at 606-573-1313 or send a message to the Harlan County Sheriff's Office Facebook page. Now that the crowded Republican field of candidates for governor is set, the campaigns are getting in gear. Former UN Ambassador Kelly Craft leads the GOP PAC in fundraising and is the only candidate on TV so far. The site Medium Buying says Craft has already forked out $419,000 for TV ads. Craft is working now to build name recognition against state office holders like Attorney General Daniel Cameron and Agriculture Commissioner Ryan Quarles. Democratic incumbent Governor Andy Beshear has far outraised all candidates and hopes to continue those efforts while Republicans fight it out in a tough primary. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, California Congressman Kevin McCarthy was finally elected Speaker early Saturday morning after 15 rounds of voting. But did he give away some of his power?
Plus, a quiet start to the first half of the week, but things get interesting late week. That breakdown coming up after this.